People of the internet, how's it going? It's Multiplier here. Multiplier here for In the Door with Midoca. Fantastic little episode, this one. Fantastic little episode. And we talk about the following things. Oh, and timestamps below. So you can either watch the full thing, or if you just want to watch a specific little tip, concept, technique, etc., then check out the timestamp, which will be linked below, as well as other fun things, including samples. 3 samples relating to Midoca. We talk about foley. We talk about really cool, probably my favourite little trick. This just because it's novel and unique. A cool little trick involving warp mode, an Ableton specific trick. Super awesome, that one. Absolutely love that one. And also zero effects for doing fills, binaural concepts, and finally making music for yourself. So I mean, I would personally recommend this. But if you only have a minute or two free, do check out the thing that jumps out. Do check out the thing that looks most exciting using a timestamp below. Probably my favorite bit of the track was actually the intro section, and all those kind of background noises and stuff. Were they samples, or did you kind of take things and then turn them into those sounds? Or
so what had happened was Justin gave me the acapella for just his vocal and Monthica's vocal, and I created everything else around it. But one of the things I did to make the kind of eerie piano sound in the intro that starts it off was I played the melody of the verse, or the pre-chorus. I kind of made an outro out of that. And then I think what I did was I took that dry piano that is playing the pre-chorus melody and did I reversed it and then reversed the reverb back into it just so it has this very like distant kind of moody sound to it. But yeah, I'm a huge sucker for Foley. I'm always like recording with my Tascam. I actually just went to the desert with some friends and recorded a bunch of really great stuff. Sound of a playground. This is the sound of a plastic bag that's slowly I think it's being pitched up, right?
First off, I just got to say, I'm so glad that you're using a cymatics thing because I'm literally every episode everyone has, and it's so cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think this is just the sound of plastic bag being filtered in.
So that's what that sound was. I was wondering.
Yeah.
It's just the crinkle of a plastic bag. And there's also, I think, a vinyl noise layer somewhere in here. Yeah. Oh, and there's this one. It's the sound of a chair rolling across the floor, but I pitched it down a lot. So I think normally I pitched it up. It's the sound of a chair rolling across the floor. But yeah, so all together that is popping out. I can't.
Yeah, if you need a minute to kind of.
So here's a bit of backstory into how I work with Kontakt. I have a crack of Kontakt, and I have access to all the sounds that came with it, but they only last for about 10, 15 minutes until I get the demo message, and it just completely freezes the track. So what I have to do is write the melody or the arrangement of strings, whatever I'm using Kontakt for, freeze and flatten it before it goes to demo mode, and then process it.
Which, fun fact for everyone, so that's actually super cool because a lot of Native Instruments things do that where like you get the full version for like 15 to 30 minutes or whatever, and then it goes to demo version. But, you know, if you bring something out in 15 to 30 minutes and hurry up and convert it to audio like Chaz did here, that's awesome because then you can have access to a lot more things, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a little bit of just pressure that's built in to just hurry up and write something before you lose it or you lose the sound or something.
Awesome. What kind of reverb are you using on there? The KR reverb? Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's a free reverb from Computer Music Magazine. Like, if you ever picked one of those up, they give you the CD of free plugins and samples that are usually, you know, whatever. But this one I use on everything. It sounds so good.
That's awesome. And then what are you doing with the trash too?
I think it's just saturating. It's not. It's just kind of pulling it up a little bit. Yeah, it's just on tape saturation, just to kind of
stream.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So how did you do the main? I suppose you might call it kind of like a lead sound, but like the main. I'm not quite sure how to describe it, but it's almost got like the really wide sound. I'm not sure if you called that the lead or not.
In the drop or still in the intro?
Oh yeah, in the drop. Sorry, yeah, in the main section, yeah.
So I think what you're referring to is this, right?
I think so, but then because.
So actually, if you listen to the original version of Silk, there's a I could probably, let's see if I can do it here. Silk acapella. So if I just pull this over here and make a new version of it, I should be able to just, let's see, turn this off. Yeah, there's just this drone-like layered vocal pad in the outro of Silk that I took and then went into the envelope tab and changed the preserve to 1/8 notes. I think it was at 80. And it just kind of makes a very staccato punchy version of that. And that's how I made that. And it's layered with a few other synths as well. I always try to explain that to people. What is this mode called? You go into
I suppose it's some sort of like transient preservation thing. But yeah, I suppose
that's exactly what it is.
More normally you'd use it for drums, but I think it's really cool that using it in a different creative way, which I must admit I've never seen anyone do before, but it's really cool idea.
Awesome. Yeah, I do. I feel like I use it pretty often too. I think I even did it on, let's see if I can find, there's one audio layer of bass that I think I did the same thing too, just because it's doing similar to what an LFO tool or like some sidechain would do if you just wanted that consistent pulsating 1/8 note or 1/4 note. But you do it in the audio. Let's see if I don't know if I have that. Let me see. Oh, here. You know what? I didn't do it on this track. I did that on my newest one called Baby, is where I froze the bass and did the same thing to it.
On the sub?
Yeah, on the sub.
Give it a nice little like pulsing feeling.
Yeah.
That's awesome. In the drop, I don't know how to explain this either. It kind of sounds like a watery sound or something that you have later in there. You have some water.
Oh yeah, I love me some Foley. There's all kinds of shit going on.
In this, your use of Foley is amazing.
There's I think that's the drum loop. And here's is that everything? Yeah. So inside this mess of a group, there's all kinds of stuff happening. We have, let's see what this is doing. That's just a noise layer. And it's another one. Let's see, there's definitely water in here. Let's see if I can find that. Yeah, here it is.
Okay.
I think I may have done, no, I didn't. I've also used the transient preservation technique on water samples, and instead of just getting a splashy sound, you can get a very like rhythmic effect going. Let me see if I can find it in the Midoca sample pack. Drum loops. Yeah, so like there's I think the same water samples, but I just put the transient preservation technique on them and made like it sounds like a hit, but it's like this wet, weird, percussive thing.
I like that a lot.
So oh wait,
you played that?
We got all kinds of other noises. Yeah, so yeah, the snares are layered with water, and I think it's also... Yeah, just each time the snare hits, there's this whoosh effect happening on top of
You're
it.
going from every other snare, you're kind of switching the two water sounds. That's super cool. Did you record these water samples or did you find them somewhere?
I want to say I recorded this one, and then this one is from the direct sample pack.
Gotcha.
Which is also an awesome sample pack if you want a garage burial sounding thing. Like, there's some amazing samples, and it's very underrated. It's like on his SoundCloud and like on Selfie, and that's it. And it's amazing. It's so good.
That's awesome, dude. How do you go about processing samples? Because I found that when I when I record samples and I bring them into Ableton, it's just like, I don't know, they just don't fit very well, or like, I don't know if I'm subconscious about it. You know what I mean? How do you go about that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like what I do is here's a whole folder of stuff that I've recorded. What I've done to them is I try to keep my processing pretty minimal. That way, if I want an actual effect on it later on in the song, the effect happens then and isn't like the sound itself isn't tainted. But I just take my Tascam DRO5, and once I have a batch of sounds I recorded, put them in here and just put a low pass, EQ any like harsh sounds out of it, and a little bit of compression, try to keep it just that. And then, yeah, I don't know I guess I've just had pretty good luck with getting the samples to sound good.
Yeah.
I was just walking around my garage, and I think one of my favorite sounds from this pack is the sound of just our charcoal bag. Layering that onto snares, or this one is also good. It has such a like high crispy sound to it with like a really rich stereo feel. I don't know. But yeah, the mic kind of worked out, and I again, to answer your question, I think I just keep the processing as minimal as possible, and I don't know, throw it in there. Honestly, I think I just searched for like a wherever there was like a faint buzz of the sound of the mic pulling it in, and just kind of cut that out of the EQ, and I think I was okay. I have the Waves bundle with the noise reducer and all of that, but I don't think I used it on that, to be honest.
What did you have to make quite a bit of room for Justin and Mothica's vocals, or was there? Yeah, I guess I should ask. How did you make room for them?
How to make room for, I mean, the acapella itself is just so good that it was kind of pretty easy to work around it. Let's see.
I also mean like, your sound designer within your arrangement, did you have to go into elements and like basically make a dip in the EQ to make room for them, or you know what I mean?
I don't think so. I think the instrumentation in the verse and pre-chorus is pretty simple. I think it's just a bunch of textural Foley sounds and a few synths and piano, really.
You felt like nothing was battling them.
But I guess, I didn't do it intentionally, but those two sounds definitely lend to their voices, because this is just playing kind of this higher mid-range area of the spectrum, and then just have that bass and piano, whereas the vocals kind of sit right here like 1K. I guess kind of naturally kind of did that.
Oh, that's awesome. What's it got for a multiplier?
Yeah, so a question quite a lot of people ask me about doing remixes is when you have the acapella to work with, almost always, unless it's a really strange acapella, that acapella will be in a certain key. How do you write the rest of your track around that key? Do you know music theory, or do you end up having to almost like look up the notes and then sort of use those notes? Or yeah, how do you approach that?
Let's think. I generally am pretty good with just like listening. Like this song, I think I used the same chord progression as the original for at least the verse and pre-chorus. And I just listened to the song a couple times and kind of wrote it in. I didn't seek out to change. I didn't feel the need to write my own chords as they already fit so well. I was like, I don't need to challenge that. It's good.
That's awesome.
You know?
Do you understand theory pretty well?
Yeah, when I was in high school, I studied jazz guitar for a little while and
Awesome.
have a pretty good understanding of just like, I mean, that taught me like all the chords, all the variations, and 9 chords, 6 chords, major, like just all of that. It was really good time for me to learn music theory, but I don't listen to jazz. I don't care for jazz anymore.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What was your? Oh, sorry, keep going.
Sorry. Just going to say, kind of related to that. So, how do you choose the notes for the sub? Do you always have it in the root of the chord, or did you just do it by ear? Or?
I just did it by ear. I think the notes are just playing what's in the verse of the song. Yeah, it was just kind of by ear. I listened to Silk a few times, and I think I strummed guitar along to it and figured out how it went, and then just made my own version of the song. Really is kind of how I approached this remix.
That sub has a very unique texture to it. Can we take a look at what you got going on there?
Yeah, of course. Let's open that bad boy up.
Oh wow,
Let's see what's on here for you. Let's see. Pretty simple patch. It's just this one oscillator and a sub oscillator, and it's just, I think this is even a preset LFO shape. I think so. Maybe not. I don't want to change it. But yeah, it's just oscillating between the wavetable position and the warping.
So like, because those of you who don't know, so like most of the time when you want to hear the sub on like cell phones or laptops or whatever, usually what people will do will have like a pure sine wave, and then they'll saturate it either, you know, with some form of saturation. And it looks like it'll further a little bit further along in your chain. Looks like you did that too, but it looks like here what you did to give it some tone so they could come through the sub a little bit more, or through the speakers a little bit more, is you actually processed it with a wavetable. That's really unique. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like the idea was to make it similar to like a REZZ, where it's just like a detuned saw on top of the sub, but just make it really subtle. That way it's clear, again, on cell phones and any other system, that you could hear the sub. If I can turn that off. But if you can see, even the wavetable itself is pretty not extreme. Like if you open up any of the other serum patches, there's, they're pretty intense. This one just kind of, I mean, even at the very end of it, if I bring it to here, it's basically a sine wave. Mm. But over here, it has a little grit to it. And yeah, it's only distortion and the effects over here. And saturated it a little bit. This is a plugin that makes it mono below 160 hertz or wherever you set it to. And it's also clearly a big EQ. It does all kinds of stuff that I boosted the bass.
Well, I guess I don't know.
And then cut some of the highs and lows on it, which isn't necessary because I could have cut all of this. But
it's awesome.
Oh, and another thing I did, this is one of my favorite discoveries of the past few months, is not Serum itself, but just the Serum effects, the VST. So I think at the end of this, let's see. I used the Serum Effects VST to make fills. So that's the reverb filter, which is just insane. You get, let's see if I think it's more audible on some of the synth layers. There's main synths, yeah. Just this crazy sound. I love it so much.
Awesome. And you primarily got that by automating the wet and dry on the reverb filter?
Yeah, so if you open Serum, I just have this on a bus of probably 3 different synths playing. Right? Yeah, 3 different synths, and then so that's on the group. Oh. And I'm just automating the cutoff of this filter. So no, it's not currently on. So it really just has this insane Transformers robotic sound that I don't know. But yeah, I just use that as a fill where I, at the end of the bar, turned on Serum effects and then automated the cutoff to make that thing. So altogether it's... Yeah, it has an insane sound to it.
Oh, that was awesome.
Really cool.
Oh, I love it. You got anything else for him?
Oh yeah, I did, and then immediately just forgot. What was it? Oh yeah, how long would a track like this normally take you? Like 10 hours, 20 hours, or?
I mean, they always range. I feel like how this one came about was I was making a few songs very similar to the way this drop happens. And so once I got the acapella, I immediately knew what I wanted to do with it and where I wanted to go with it. And I was so excited that I sat down and probably did most of the song in a day or two. And then a few weeks of just kind of nitpicking and fine-tuning and mixing and mastering 1,000 times. Eventually, I was happy with it.
It's awesome. Do you have a specific formula to creating songs like this? Like, do you start off with the drums and then move to the synths, or is it kind of just whatever you're feeling it?
I don't know. I've been really into just the like as far as electronic music goes, like the 4 on the floor beat, but at high tempo, so it just has a very driving but slow feel. Like this one, my last release, Baby, does that. And I have a few more on the way that just have this like very similar rhythm where it just feels like it's just like really just moving along, but at this like, I don't know, haunting tempo where it's like I don't know, it's hard to describe, but I really love the way this one sits. So this one, again, I just I heard the acapella and knew which tempo it kind of sat at, and I just went for it.
That's awesome. And was Justin, who goes by Crywolf, was he pretty pleased with the remix?
Yeah, he loved it. He was really stoked on all the foley sounds, and I think he described it as a ASMR sounding remix.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, sure.
You don't know what ASMR is. Do you want to tell them what that is?
ASMR is a weird sector of YouTube where people will do anything from give you binaural ear cleanings to doing your makeup to just like, it's a high focus of strange sounds. So you'll have somebody just like talking to the mic with, again, a makeup brush, and you hear just the sound of the brush, or you'll hear, it could be anything. Someone just crinkling leaves or just tapping on a wine glass or just like speaking in whispers. Like it's definitely an interesting section of YouTube that I don't find myself in very much. I just kind of like weird sounds.
I agree. I don't find myself there very much either. I just think the actual, like, the concept is really cool, because have you ever seen the microphones that they use?
Yeah, they're really, really cool. They were like the things on the human head size thing.
Yeah, it actually looks like ears. Like,
No, I haven't. I don't know what you're talking about. I'll definitely look into that.
yeah, it's really cool. It's actually a really cool concept, especially for us as producers, because we could utilize that in a stereo sense. Basically, it looks like two ears. Multiplier, if you want to put a picture, that'd be awesome. There it is. So,
Wow.
so basically, yeah, the one that I saw is like it was the girl massaging the ears, and it literally felt like someone was there. I don't know, touching your ears, but it's
Yeah, give you a head massage or something.
really, really weird. But there's actually a really cool, I don't know what you call it, like software or plugin where it emulates that. You can actually you can get.
Hmm.
I'll have to go find the link for it. But basically, what it is it's what uh, what's it
It'd be
called?
a very specific stereo imager, I guess, right? Or just put things kind of directly in that place.
Exactly, and it does it really, really well. So a lot of people who do stuff for video games use it as far as like like a rocks crackling or water falling or whatever it is. But basically, you can drag a sound into it and move the sound around. So you can make it go around your head and do this way and that way and all kinds of stuff, and then convert that to audio and then bring it back into your session and kind of have that. And I was like, that's pretty freaking cool. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Yeah, I would highly encourage you to check that out. I'll send the link over to you because I feel like
Yeah, please. That'd be tight.
awesome. Uh,
Have you guys heard of, real quick, do you watch Internet Comment Etiquette? Have you heard of that guy?
I haven't.
Oh man, he's so good. He basically the concept of his it's a comedy account, and the concept is basically he leaves people, or he teaches people how to leave proper internet comments because, as you're both aware, YouTube comment sections are usually just a mess, just like in places for insane people. But that's the idea behind this thing, and he has a video dedicated to ASMR, and it's just hilarious. Highly recommend you check out Internet Comment Etiquette's ASMR video. He's
Awesome.
a funny dude.
That sounds fantastic. Thank you. Any final words from you, Multiplier?
Yeah, were there any points in this track that were difficult, or did the whole track flow together quite easily?
I mean, sometimes. I mean, honestly, the mix and master was kind of a little pain in the ass with this one. I think it had something to do with that sound I like in the Serum reverb filter fill, because it creates this weird stereo effect. And I think once I was getting to the actual master, once the song hit that point, it continued to peak, and I had to find a way to like properly compress that and limit it and make sure it wasn't going to sound terrible once it's running through the master bus. And it was like really took a lot of just fine tuning. It was pretty aggravating after a while, but it worked out. I'm stoked on how the mix and master is now. But it was just like that sound when you're just creating sounds so cool. It is such a great sound. Just have this, whatever you're playing with, just go off into stereo field crazy land. But once it's being run through the master and it's peaking all the time, it's like hard to control that and still get the same effect.
And then the final question I have for you is a question we ask everyone that comes on the show. I guess I actually technically have two questions. Question number one is, if you could go back in time and sit with yourself as you and yourself started this project, what pieces of advice would you give the old you to make everything go easier, to go, you know what I mean? Kind of just basically like, look out for this, try this.
Yeah. It's a loaded question. There's a lot I want to tell myself. Like, hey, Chaz, come on, man. You got to pay attention to this. Honestly, I think what I would do is, now Midoca is about 2 years old, and I'm really stoked where it's at and the progression it's had, but I continue to find myself subconsciously listening to more successful artists and people who are just doing better. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't even really like their sound, but it's working. There's a part of me that's always like, oh, I should try some new things and like try to go in that lane. And every time I do, I'm so unfulfilled and so unhappy. And I always go back to just making like my music. So I think I just need to reassure younger Chaz or younger Midoca to just continue to carve out your own thing and not worry about what anyone else is doing. I watched the HBO series, The Defiant Ones, with Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre recently. And one of the things Jimmy Iovine said that I thought was so cool was working in music, you have to work like a racehorse. And that racehorses have blinders on the sides of their head so they don't see the other horses. If they see them, they'll run into them and trip and fall and lose track of them just sprinting. And I think music is that way. It's, you have to know what you want to do and put your blinders up and just sprint and just go for it. And it's so easy in the age of social media and the internet and hearing about what literally everyone's doing all of the time. Very easy to get caught up and worry about being yourself. And that's the most important thing as an artist, is to be yourself, because that's what people connect to if they hear this unique expression, is some part of themselves in it. And you can't do that if you sound like somebody else.
And then the final question I have for you is something that we always do on the show too, which is we always ask the artist if you want feedback from us about the song. Is that something that you would like?
Oh yeah, hell yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cut it open.
Cool, man. Multiplier, do you want me to go first, or would you like to?
Like, first off, this track sucks.
Yeah, I think literally only one thing jumped out when I first listened to it, which is I think strangely one of my favorite sound from the drop section, which again I'm not quite sure how you describe it, sounded a little bit like it was biased to the left side, which I couldn't decide whether I liked or I'm just not used to, if you know what I mean, because we're so used to in dance music having everything almost too central. Like if you listen to like normal music, quote unquote, like things are on the sides and that's cool, but I'm kind of so conditioned to things being so symmetrical that it was kind of weird having it slightly off to the side, which I must admit I couldn't quite figure out if I liked it or not. But yeah, that was just the only thing that kind of jumped out.
I think I had listened to something Lido said recently, or he was talking about how he likes insane panning, and then so one of the synths in I think I deliberately did that. Yeah, there's just two synths, and this one's clearly brighter, all the way, pretty far left. And that one right, which has this organ sound to it. It doesn't have so much white noise that it's going to, your attention will be shifted to the left side of the stereo field. But yeah, that was deliberate. I was just kind of going for that and trying to try something slightly different and just kind of perk your ear up. Whether you liked it or not, it caught your attention. Yeah,
definitely. That was kind of my point. It didn't feel. I suppose the only reason why it felt unnatural is because I spend all day, every day listening to dance music, so I'm so used to like the normal. But yeah, it was cool.
Sick. Thanks.
And then the only feedback that I have for you, first off, this is amazing. I'm a huge fan of Crywolf, and so the fact that you could take a Crywolf song and make it good is pretty impressive. You know what I mean? Make your own.
Yeah, I felt like I searched the comment section of this YouTube upload for his thing, and that was the consensus, which is kind of funny. That was everyone just like, it's hard to touch the Crywolf, but you did it. And it's like, all right. And there's other people that are like, original's better. Like, yeah, sure, of course it is.
No, I think it's awesome. The only piece of advice that I have for you is what I stated earlier, where it's like, this is something that I truly do love about your style, your music, is your usage of Foley and the stereo imaging that you use with Foley. And so you could get that gaming software that you pull the sound in and make it like not just left, not just right, but moving. So it has a lot of movement to it, where it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like flying around your head rather than just on this side and this side. I think that could take your productions to the next level as far as like stereo production. Does that make sense?
Send me that link. I will download it today. Let's do it.
Fantastic indeed. Remember, link below for some free samples, links to Midoca on the internet, etc. And as usual, do let me or Wyatt know if there's someone you want to see on this show, either in the comments below or via this email. My name has been Multiplier, and tripped over the nothing. That was weird. My name has been Multiplier, and we will all catch you guys on flippity flip.